Hello, this is a tutorial on actually an old product, but an old product that's been updated, and that is Google Forms. The Google Form is a Google app built right into your Google App for Education system. So you can launch either from your checkerboard here, what's called the Google Waffle. You want to find Google Drive, and then from Google Drive, you'll come over here to the New button, and when you click on the New button, you'll have some choices down here of new items that you can create. If you go down to More, one of the first choices that you'll have, this list could look a little different depending on what you use, but you're looking for Google Forms. Once you click on Google Forms, you'll probably notice, if you've used it before, this completely different splash page. This is the new Google Forms. So we're going to take a couple of moments and we'll just build a quick Google Form survey so you can kind of get an idea what the different components are, what the toolbars look like. There's a lot of similarity. I think the functionality is about the same. A couple of other things I think you can do a little bit differently in this version than in the previous version, but I do want to point those out to you as you go. So here we're on the main splash page for the form. We have an untitled form here. There's some toolbar items over here to the right. We have a question tab that we're on now, and you can tell because that's underlined, and then there's the responses tab. You do have the ability to do all of the things that you used to do before. You can preview before you send out, you can share, you can make a copy, all of those types of things. Okay? So you also have various toolbar pieces down here, and there's actually more of them that you can open up over here. This is the duplicate. So if you create a question and you want to have another question that's very similar, rather than retyping it, you can just duplicate the question and make your edits. The trash can, I think we all know that that is the symbol for delete. In the old version, you had the ability to make certain questions required or not required. A required question means that the person must respond to it before they move on to the next one. So in order to make something required, you can see, although you have the word required here, this is not a required question. You actually have to do that, and that makes it a required question. And this color will be kind of geared toward your theme, which currently right now is this purple color. Over here, we have a drop down of extra things that you can do. You can change the order. You can go to a selection or a section based on a particular answer. That works in the multiple choice situation. And then you have hint text that you could give to somebody. Here's our question types. The short answer here, so if you're going to have somebody do a one-word or a couple of word answer, or this works really well for things like, you know, last name and email address and those types of things. A paragraph is a much longer answer. It gives them kind of like a dialogue box that they can respond in. Multiple choice, you'll be allowed to give certain choices with only one possible choice selected out of the list of choices. Checkbox allows you to check more than one different choices. So, you know, name your top 3 ice cream flavors, and you can have 10 listed and they can choose 3. A drop down is a list. The question will be listed. There will be a space where they will click on this drop down arrow, and then they will select their choice from a list of choices. A linear scale and multiple choice grid. Those allow for a little bit more subjectivity and personal preference. Those questions are not used a lot, but they do have some value. And then date and time and so forth. Okay. So let's go ahead. The first thing that I always suggest when you're working with any Google item, whether it's a Google Doc, a Google Sheets, what have you, is to give it a title, because otherwise this untitled form is going to be the default title. So we have this title, and you can see now that it is changed up here as well. And so I can give this form a description. which I've done. You can go back in and edit any of these things if you're out of them, and you can also just click back in and edit them. So right now I'm moving down to the question area. The default is going to be to multiple choice, so if you want a different question type, go ahead and change it. I just changed it to short answer. And then there's the space here for the short answer text. I have to decide whether I want this a required question. If I don't want it a required question, which means they do not have to answer, they can skip over it. Or if I want the required question. Okay. All right, so we have that one. Now, this particular toolbar here, depending on how large your screen is, will either show up here along the bottom or it will show up along the right side. So we'll just take a moment to go to each one of these, and you can see when I take and hover my mouse over that particular icon or image, it tells us what it will do for us. So it makes it very easy. So the plus symbol means that it's going to allow me to add a question. This next one here, the double T, is for descriptions and titles. This item here allows me to add an image. I can add a video, a YouTube video, and then over here I can, this little looks like an equal sign, but it's actually showing a split. I can add a section, so I can take this entire Google form and I can divide it up into areas by adding a particular section. Okay. Again, since I'm using short answer, my items that are available here are hint text and data validation. Every time you choose a different answer type, what shows up under these three dots is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to add another question very simply. And I'm going to choose, let's say, another short answer. And I'll do first name. And again, I want this required. And another question. Favorite time to take a vacation, so I'm just going to add in some seasons. I can, if there is a situation where I would like there to be an other category beyond just the multiple choice that I name, I can add that. Okay, so I have my winter here and we're good. I'm going to put that other choice there. I have this add option, so I want to add spring, fall, and summer. Okay. And so I have all these. So if there's anything that, what it's going to do is it's going to show these 5. So if there's no reason for me to have another, I can just go over here to the X and I can blow that out. So winter, spring, fall, summer. I don't have that other added. Again, if I want to add it, I just actually click on that. That would be the selection. And that puts it in my list. Again, anything I want to get rid of, I pop it out by clicking on the X. And let's add another question. And I will make it checkbox. Vanilla. Chocolate. Strawberry. Butter pecan. Little Ben and Jerry's action there. That's my wife's favorite. She doesn't eat much ice cream, but that used to be her favorite. And we'll keep that other option there because there could be other choices. And we're also going to say that that's a required question. Okay. So you get the idea. So before I go any further, I mean, I think my previous video on how to add questions, there's really nothing different once you know that this is the place to get those questions. But let's go back up and take a look at this toolbar. Over here, this is where you'll have add-ons. For the most part, you may not use this in a lot of cases. These are some special add-on scripts that have been created. Form limiter might be one that you use. You have the ability to set, if this happens to be a survey where you're gathering information, you can set a stopping point ahead of time. Maybe you decide that a week from Friday you would like no more responses to come into this particular survey. So you can set that particular date of next Friday at 3 p.m. You could also say that I would like it to stop receiving responses once we've hit 150 or what have you. So, and these other ones do similar types of things, but I did want to show you that little puzzle piece there is for add-ons. Color palette is probably what you're going to want to use on the front end to make some adjustments. You can also add some images, and they have some specific themes listed here that you can choose from if any of those happen to work for you. I didn't have breakfast today, so maybe that one looks good. So you'll just select it. You also have the ability, before I move on, you can upload your own photos or albums and so forth if you wanted to do that. And so we've added that particular image up in this spot here. This is your send key. It looks kind of like an arrow pointed to the right. That would allow you to send this survey, assuming that we were done with it. We have it all marked appropriately. And again, notice how this last one is still kind of open in the area of the edit mode here, where I have my selections and so forth, and it's listed as required and that kind of thing. And that's fine. I mean, I'm good if I don't intend to add any other questions. But in case I wanted to, let's say, go in and change this question, all I have to do is just come back in and click on it around that questionnaire, which puts it back into the edit mode for me. Notice this one is no longer in the edit mode. This one is back in the edit mode. So I have my ability to send, and again, it's going to create a link for this survey. I can put email addresses in. I can actually grab the link and do other things with it. I can post it into Blackboard, I can put it on a website, I can put it in any document, or I can send it to people. The more area are these three dots. This allows me to take a look at what the live form looks like before I send it out. Always a good idea. Settings for the form itself. I can make a copy. I can move it to a folder. I can move it to trash, so forth. You can see what the items are. If you've got somebody else that you would like to show this to, and maybe they're working on it with you, you can add collaborators. This is essentially a share function. Okay, so let's just take a look at the live form, see what the live form looks like, and there it is. There's our title, there's our description, we have our image in the background and our theme of this particular color. Last name, first name, there's the choices of the list, of the multiple choice, and the check boxes. And again, you can see that what is listed here with the asterisk are required questions. So notice that this one doesn't have a required answer submission here because it doesn't have that red item. So I left that one blank so you can see what that looks like. So if this was somebody taking this particular survey using this form, they could go ahead and fill in everything, make their selections, and when they're done, they hit submit. And it produces that really nice spreadsheet of responses, and I've shown you that in previous videos. So this was really just taking a few moments to show you what the new form looks like in Google Forms. Thanks.